Much of the team's success stems from something that most other clubs don't have: a large group of seniors. But if any of these things interest you, you're going to have to do some digging of your own, because the man behind IU Artifacts isn't giving up any of his stuff anytime soon. The going rate right now for a piece of the historic court is around $2,000. But according to Reed, he wants to be affordable enough for all of Hoosier Nation to enjoy. For as competitive as this team is, there's one thing many spectators have taken notice of leading up to the big race. Tuesday night, the men's basketball team was one step closer to a semifinal in Madison Square Garden, but standing in their way, the Wichita State Shockers. IU started the game slow, finishing the first half with only 29 points, their lowest scoring margin thus far in the NIT. Their lone bright spot, though, came from senior Juwan Morgan, who had 11 points in an otherwise lifeless first half, going down 36-29. The second half did not turn out much better for the Hoosiers, as every time they got on a run, the Shockers had an answer. Juwan Morgan added 10 more points, and it was not enough as the Hoosiers fell 73-63 to end the season. The Hoosiers will now have months to reflect on their up-and-down season ahead of a campaign with plenty of roster turnover. It's the end of the season for the IU women as well. The number 10 seeded Indiana women's basketball team's wild season came to a close last Sunday in a 91-68 loss to the number 2 seed Oregon Ducks. The Hoosiers were led by Allie Patberg with 16 points and Jalen Penn with 15, but that was nothing compared to the 13 threes made by the Ducks, who were pushed by Pac-12 Player of the Year Sabrina Ionescu, who finished with 29 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds while hitting 5 of the team's 13 threes. A season of uncertainty came to a halt, but after a respectable 21-win season. Oladipo ruptured a quad tendon in his right knee. The Pacers confirmed this afternoon he will need surgery and will miss the rest of the season. Doctors say the recovery time is usually around a year. The former IU standout hit the floor hard during Wednesday's game against the Raptors and at an awkward angle. He had to be wheeled off on a stretcher. Oladipo has received an outpouring of support from fellow NBA stars like LeBron James, Paul George, and Devin Booker following his injury. Quals are behind us, and the Little 500 is now less than a month away. 65 teams in total were out for qualifications, the lowest number in 58 years. Some of the top teams from both sides will start where many expected. Black Key Bulls will start top 5 once again, while Cutter's last year's winners hold the pole spot for the men. Ski Club holds the pole spot on the other side for the women, while 2018 champion Kappa Alpha Theta will begin in 11th. The women's race will take place Friday, April 12th, with the men's race following the next afternoon. Wednesday, college football programs around the nation announced their new recruiting classes, including right here in Bloomington at IU. The Hoosiers brought in one of the top 40 classes in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, the program's highest-ranked class in over a decade. Despite bringing in the most 4-star recruits since 2013, the Hoosiers had their aspirations set even higher.
Everybody talks about top 25. I like to talk about top 25 offense, top 25 defense, top 25 football team. So Nick's goal is to be a top 25 recruiting class. That's kind of how I would approach this. But whatever that means, to me, it's attracting, better and better players to help us.
A few members of the incoming freshman class will get their first taste of action in the Cream and Crimson this spring. Lacrosse dates back more than 1,000 years. But here at IU, it's a whole new ballgame. Lacrosse is one of more than 40 club teams at IU and is in its 45th season. While other major programs on campus have struggled to consistently contend and win, the lacrosse team has taken a different route. Last season, they got oh so close as underdogs at the national championship game, where they led at half but eventually lost. This year, their coach says they are fired up to make it again.
We can play with those teams that are number 1, number 2, number 3. I mean, we weren't blown out of the water. We knew we could play with them, and I think carrying that mentality into this year has been a noticeable difference from the guys who are just, you kind of believe and you understand that any given day could be our day.
Much of the team's success stems from something that most other clubs don't have: a large group of seniors. There are 6 seniors on this year's squad, something most other programs around the country can't say they have, as most kids stop after a year or two. 4-year midfielder and captain Sam Heaps says experience breeds maturity.
Like in the past, I've kind of been like, a jokester, funny guy, but now that I'm a senior, you kind of have to take a more serious demeanor and kind of set the stage for the young guys about where this program's headed, because they're not used to seeing where the program has been in the past. They only see it now, and I think setting that high bar for them is the most important thing as a senior.
With still plenty of season left, the team is eyeing another championship game, only this time with sights set on hoisting the trophy. It has over 3,000 Twitter followers, but it's not just the fan base that makes IU Artifacts such a major contributor to Hoosier Nation. The page itself has a history. Chris Williams, a history teacher in Bloomington and an IU graduate, decided 4 years ago to create the collection and page and make some history of his own.
When I was in high school is really when I realized that I had a great passion for history, and that's kind of where the direction I went when I went to IU. And then it just kind of spawned into, okay, there's cool stuff from IU history, and I want to learn more about it and study about it and collect it. And that's kind of where it went from there.
And collect it he did. His collection ranges from 1,500 to 2,000 items sprawled out through his entire living room. You'll find signed basketballs and footballs, old jerseys worn by teams throughout the years, and even the ticket stub to the game with Bob Knight's infamous chair throw. There's one piece that he cherishes the most.
These are envelopes, that a fan sent into the mail to the university. The original was to Branch McCracken, and he did the design on the outside. It has kind of like a folk art look to it. But basically, you have the entire 1940-41 season.
But if any of these things interest you, you're going to have to do some digging of your own, because the man behind IU Artifacts isn't giving up any of his stuff anytime soon.
The thing with me is I'm collecting and preserving. I'm not about turning and flipping and selling stuff. So.
But you can look for free. For IU Newsnet, I'm Dan Black. Nick's English Hut is as famed as any establishment in Bloomington, but now they're bringing their name from Kirkwood Ave to the dirt track. The team, which was founded officially in late December, was something that Nick's owner and CFO Susan Bright had been looking to do for a long time, but just could not find the right group. That is, until Griffin Titchener came around.
It was the day after Christmas, actually, that we went and met. We went through the presentation, went through all the costs, and walked out of the meeting, inked a deal.
Titchener and the rest of the group have all written for other teams in the past, including members he's known for years.
We all, except for 2 of us, went to the same high school.
The rest of the roster they met this year, but they clicked instantly.
And that's really one of our biggest priorities, is making sure that guys that we're looking at really mesh.
This bond, as well as their hunger to compete and win, is just part of the team's recipe for success. For as competitive as this team is, there's one thing many spectators have taken notice of leading up to the big race.
Of all the teams here, there's no one having more fun than you guys.
The experienced team, who combined have roughly 8 years of Little 500 experience, love the race, but do it really because it's their passion.
We just love racing bikes.
For IU Newsnet, I'm Dan Black.